The reactions by politicians to the terror attack in Nice look pretty much exactly like you would expect that they would from both Hillary and Trump and others, and we're going to show you some of those. Hillary Clinton put out a response immediately after it was announced that this had happened in Nice, saying, "Every American stands in strong solidarity with the people of France, and we say with one voice, we will not be intimidated. We will never allow terrorists to undermine the egalitarian and democratic values that underpin our very way of life. This cowardly attack only strengthens our commitment to our alliance and to defeating terrorism around the world." Trump put out something slightly more eloquent. "Another horrific attack, this time in Nice, France. Many dead and injured. When will we learn? It is only getting worse." But he did say, "My prayers and condolences to the victims and families of the terrible tragedy in Nice, France. We are with you in every way."
What is
of course,
that?
Tomorrow he'll be tweeting that France is a mess and it's a terrible country.
What do we learn? What are we supposed to learn? What does he mean?
From his point of view, horrific things.
Yeah, like what does that mean? When are we going to learn?
Keep him out, screen him, don't trust him.
I think he means what we're going to learn, that it's Muslims in general, and it's not just a band of terrorists or an ideology that's a splinter group. It's all of them. Yeah. That's what he's saying, right?
Well,
that's
he's still talking about Syrian refugees. This is a guy who was born in Tunisia but had been living in France. He didn't come over on a boat with refugees 6 months ago.
He's married. He had 3 kids.
Exactly. And so what he is saying is what Newt Gingrich will get into, that it's not just that we have to stop them from coming over. We have to take a very hard look at every single one of them that's living here right now. But let's get into some of those videos because we have Hillary, who called into Bill O'Reilly. Seems like a horrible idea. I would prefer that she not do that. I would prefer that O'Reilly shut down his show, but I don't have control over it. We do have, I think, O'Reilly's ideas involving NATO, and so they're going to discuss that on the O'Reilly Factor.
The consensus of the experts here on the panel at the Factor, that critical mass has been reached, and now concrete things have to be taken in a world war situation, mobilization of NATO, Congress declaring war. Would you oppose any of that?
We need to strengthen our alliances, and I include NATO in that. We've got to do more to understand that this is a war against these terrorist groups, the radical jihadist groups.
Okay, so because of the way that Hillary was speaking there, Bill O'Reilly is wrong and she is wrong. And she is falling into the same, I think, idiotic framing of this struggle. It sounds exactly like what George W. Bush had been saying for so many years. And Trump said we need to declare a world war. Well, we had a global war on terror. I would argue that made things a little bit worse. What the fuck are you declaring war on? Tunisian guys in Nice? Trucks? What are you planning to bomb that we're not already bombing? We need to call up NATO to what? To patrol the streets of France? This is a specific incident that they're referring to, and they look at it in a way that leads me to believe they can do nothing but make the situation worse, in France and abroad.
This is...
that's weird that Hillary, you think she's going to be like a muscular in her response to that?
I think that everyone that we are going to show you video of in this video has exactly the wrong approach.
Yes, of course.
They all sound stupid.
Yes, I agree.
And her answer was fine in the beginning. I mean, strengthen NATO, work with
our
allies.
Yeah, that part sounded okay.
Fine. And then she said, we're not... Yeah, I mean, yes, we're in the middle of a war on the tactic of terrorism.
But not a war.
Right. But you don't, but when Bill O'Reilly frames the question as everybody here at the Factor, like that clown producer who goes out and ambushes people, and everybody here at the Factor.
It's him and Waters.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Andrew Napolitano. Does that guy come on?
Yeah. Maybe Gretchen Carlson was around.
When was she Miss America? I can't remember.
89.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. So maybe she's on the panel.
That's the fastest you've ever come up with a stat.
Doesn't matter if it's true or not. That's the thing.
No, I think he's right.
He frames that question as that everybody here thinks it should be a world war. Like, what does it mean? First of all, you can't declare a world war because you need the rest of the world. I'm fairly certain you just want. First of all, you're a cable talk show host.
Right. But second of all, you supported the Iraq War.
Right.
He should be forced to say that.
Right. But all she has to say is, hey, we got to strengthen our allies. We got to work. We got to figure out what is radicalizing these people, and we got to continue. And as president, I will continue my war on my. She could even say my war on ISIS. Like you can make it specific. But she allowed him to frame a question, and then she gets trapped into answering. Not trapped. She did it herself.
She was enthusiastic.
Answering a question about this is talking about war, and that we need to expand a war, and you don't have to answer it that way. You don't. You don't have to answer it that way.
You know, 8 days ago,
But Barack Obama wouldn't have answered it that way.
No, he would not have.
8 days ago, Bill O'Reilly was talking about how Barack Obama's a Muslim, and he's sympathetic to. Look at these, showing pictures of him dressed like a Muslim and all this stuff, and talking about his half brother, and he's literally doing stories about it. And then 8 days later, Hillary Clinton legitimizes him and goes on his news show to talk about this. And what she does is elevate him now. So now, he's a legitimate news source. Now, I got to go on that fucking propaganda guy show and pretend that he's a legitimate, because I want right-wingers to like me. Because she is a fucking right-winger. And if you listen to her answer, she's a fucking right-winger.
Well, I'm with you for at least the first half of that. It definitely does
Bullshit,
legitimize
she's
him.
not a right-winger. Bullshit.
Well, on this issue, she definitely has
Bullshit,
position much
she's
closer
not.
to the right wing.
God damn it. Already. And she goes on Bill O'Reilly's show. She doesn't have more sense to not legitimize them. Instead of trying to get them, to try to start delegitimizing them, she does the opposite.
I agreed with you on that. Yeah.
I'm going to yell at you, John.
Okay. Yeah, that's how I started the story. It was saying that they need to stop calling in. First of all, stop calling in to every show, but especially to Bill O'Reilly. And don't forget, Bill O'Reilly is the guy that less than 2 years ago was saying that we should set up an international private military to hunt down terrorists around the country, independent of any one country. And he supported the Iraq War. Who the hell is turning to this guy for strategy to fight terrorism? He's been wrong for years and years and years. He's just failed and failed. Why would Trump go on Bill O'Reilly? Well, Trump says that all that stuff with Iraq was wrong, even though back during the time of the Iraq War he was agreeing with it. O'Reilly has done nothing but fail on this issue for years.
Again,
we have more, by the way.
So you share my outrage about them legitimizing or normalizing people like Bill O'Reilly, who's a nut, who was a Class A race baiter.
Here's the problem.
100%.
Let me just jump in real quick, because I don't mind her abstractly going on the day of the attack, going on the show that is going to have the most eyeballs, and therefore the coverage of her on it will grow. I mean, her going on O'Reilly is an event by itself, whereas her going on with Rachel is less of an event, even though I think Rachel would have asked, of course, much tougher questions of her. What the problem is there are two problems. One, you end up legitimizing O'Reilly. That's unquestionably an issue, and one I suspect they don't really care about. But she hasn't had a press conference in like 230 days, 225 days. So
no one's offering enough money.
If she were consistently talking to the media, to regular members of the press, and I understand why she hasn't a press conference in over 200 days, because every question would have been about her damn email. I also understand that. But when you don't show up to talk to anybody, and then you decide your big event is, look at this, I show up, and you show up on Bill O'Reilly's show?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I hate it.
It doesn't make it.
I hate it. Although, and again, so if she weren't hiding, then and she'd had a number of interactions with different people in the press, then showing up on O'Reilly wouldn't bother me nearly as much.
Hey, you want to go on Fox News, go on Shep Smith's show. If you want to go on Fox News, that's the show you go on, because you want to reach the Fox News audience. They're Americans too. I understand that. You want to reach
even Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, go on Megyn Kelly.
More so anything better than O'Reilly. But I hear you. She's the best.
But I'm just saying.
I would go Megyn Kelly. She's more high profile than Shep.
But Hillary Clinton is already on record as saying that Megyn Kelly is a superb journalist. And by the way, 2 days ago, Megyn Kelly she's tweeting out quotes about Mark Furman, his opinion on what happened in Baton Rouge. Okay, so that's who Megyn Kelly is. She tweets out a guy, the only guy convicted in the O.J. Simpson trial for perjury because he said the N-word repeatedly. That's the guy she turns to and quotes in her tweets about Baton Rouge, Minneapolis, and Dallas. So that's who Megyn Kelly is, and I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton has the sickness. She's a right-winger in her heart, and she wants them to like her, and that's what she's doing. That's why she calls Megyn Kelly a superb journalist, and that's why she goes on with Bill O'Reilly instead of Cenk fucking Uygur.
Has he invited her? I think he has.
Open invitation. Yeah, she's got an open invitation at the Young
She could be
Turks.
on a power panel if she wanted to be. Where the hell is she? We got seats. Okay, we're even adding seats recently. No, anyway.
And Democrats put up with it. And Democrats put up with this. And Democrats are going to put up with this.
Agreed.
I don't think
Now,
she's
Trump's
not a right
response
winger.
was that we're being too nice. So Nice happened because we're too PC. Okay, even though he's shutting down every critical statement against him, we're being too PC. So that was his response. I wish we had time to play all the video. So he says we need to say radical Islamic terrorism more. She says it's radical jihadism. I don't give a fuck what you call it. I don't know why people are so goddamn focused on semantics recently. But just when you're angry that this attack happens, another attack happens, and I was pissed off when I heard about it, as we all are and should be, a stupid plan for how to fix things doesn't become smarter just because another terrorist attack happens. It's not like, oh, if they kill 100, well then a contradictory, self-defeating plan to simply kill more civilians in the Middle East doesn't suddenly become a solution. And unfortunately in America, people's outrage can cause them to follow stupid people who don't have a solution. Just because they say, okay, this is more evidence that something needs to be done. This orange-haired baboon is yelling louder than everyone else, so let's follow him. And I think that there's a lot of Americans who are going to do that. And it's so frustrating. If you look back over the history of the development of ISIS, the development of Al-Qaeda, what's happening in Europe right now, it's all one act of violence leads to another. And it's just a web of violent attacks. And so violence in the Middle East leads to people attacking France. France says in response they're going to step up their attacks in the Middle East, which will fucking cause another act of terrorism or the development of a whole new terrorist organization. It seems like we've had ISIS forever. It's only been a couple fucking years that we've even had ISIS. It developed because of the violence that we had been perpetuating throughout the Middle East. And now we're just gonna bomb them some more. I'm sure they'll respond peacefully this time, surely.
Well, the question.
One other point. I know I've been talking for a while. I apologize.
No, it's good.
Obviously, I think that many people are responsible. We are most responsible for the instability in the Middle East. And I think it makes sense in every part of your life that if you cause a problem, you have to be the person to fix the problem. And I generally believe in that principle. But at some point, I think you have to look at your history of attempting to fix situations and say, yes, hypothetically, we could fix this. But there's no evidence that we actually can, so maybe we should stop trying if every one of our solutions only causes more fucking problems.
Johnny is 100,000% right. I was thinking a very similar thought on the way in here. I'm like, hey, why don't we just, because we just sent 600 more troops into Iraq to try to take over Mosul. And I was just like, when they announced it on the news, I was like, well, I guess everything will be fixed then over there. We sent 600 more guys. That's all. It'll probably take care of everything, and then they'll be home in a few months and everything's over. No, of course not. Right? Why don't we stop trying to fix shit over there? Because we don't seem to know. We can't get clean water to Flint, frickin' Michigan. We're going to somehow fix Mosul? So I'm with you, Johnny. Hey, how about we stop trying to fix shit for maybe a year? See what happens. Stop trying to fix. Stop dropping bombs. Stop arming people. Stop arming every side of the conflict. Maybe stop doing that. Let's see what happens.
Just try it.
Just try it.
For a couple years.
Because we've been trying this other way. We've been bombing in the Middle East for 15 straight years. 5 more years, we get a gold watch.